Tell me a little bit about yourself and why you decided to work with Dodge Development.
Hello. My name is Karen Coy. I live and work on the east end of Long Island. I have a wonderful husband and two grown kids I'm very proud of. And I am the assistant general manager at an amazing golf club. Why did I decide to work with Dodge Development? Well, 2020 has been quite a year for me, and I think for a lot of people. I mean, who could possibly come out of this year the same person that they were last year? I myself was struggling with a few things, so I decided I needed to see a coach or get some books or get some counseling or do something. I even Googled life coach near me, and there aren't any. So backtrack about 20 years ago, and where I first saw Brian speak at a Club Management Association conference in San Antonio, I believe it was. I was struggling with some personal issues back then, and I honestly believe I found the strength to make the changes I needed to make in my life after hearing him speak. Years later, I bump into Brian quite coincidentally on a flight from Michigan to Texas. And he got up from his first class seat and sat with me and my then fiance in this cramped coach section and talked to us for the entire flight. He got to know us. He got to know my kids through pictures. He even sent my daughter a book, which was really very nice of him. And I can say that he honestly enjoyed our talk and enjoyed getting to know us rather than sitting up in his seat. And that really impressed me that somebody, and he remembered my name, somebody that, speaks to hundreds of people, thousands of people every day. And he remembered my name and seemed genuinely interested in me. So that's what struck me then. I once brought an employee to a CMAA event that Brian did. And afterwards she said, "I see what you mean." And that's the effect that Brian has on people. I kind of expected that reaction after that. So fast forward a few years and I get involved in local politics. And once again, Brian comes into my life at the perfect moment. I had been elected by my committee to be their public speaker. And that's something I always wanted to do, but never really felt like I was capable of. And yet here I was thrown into the position with my speech coming up in just a few days. And I open up the newsletter that month and it's about confidence. I couldn't believe it was perfect timing. So I send off an email to Brian and his team telling him how my daughter and I are both struggling with that very issue. And he calls me after receiving that email and we talk at length. And he basically coaches me through how I can do this presentation in front of all these people and how I was ready. And we wind up doing an interview for a radio show. So I can tell you, I shared that 15 minutes of fame with everyone who would stand still long enough to hear me say, "Oh, remember that speaker I told you about?" And I would go on and on about it. But he took the time to coach me through this, to show me how I could do it. And I know my story is not unique. He did this because I asked, and that's what he does. I know it's not unique. Now, jump to early 2020, lockdown, pandemic. I'm working from home and feeling myself get into a rut. I'm working odd hours, feeling like I'm not contributing, kind of disconnected from my team. And I open up the newsletter that month, and there's my radio interview with Brian. And I listened through it. It was really, really fun to listen to because seemed like so long ago when things were normal. And I decided that day I'm going to get myself out of this funk, and I'm going to get back to my disciplines, Brian's word. And I start reading the latest self-help books. I start exercising again. I make sure to make me time. And I sent an email in response to that newsletter and gave Brian the update on my brief but fairly successful speaking career because I knew that he would be interested and that he would genuinely want to hear from me. So jump to July 2020, and I am still in my funk despite everything I try. And in the newsletter that month, I see that Brian is coaching individuals and looking for candidates. I send off an email immediately asking to be considered. I mean, why wouldn't I talk to a person that genuinely cares about the people he talks to? A person that I have been reaching out to and has been responding to me all these years. That's what Brian does. Here was an opportunity to have access to someone who, for so many years, has been helping me without asking for anything in return. It was a no brainer.
What was your overall experience with Brian Dodge and Dodge Development?
Oh, Brian and his team are an amazing group of people. Tiffany, David, Zach, Ken, everyone. They're here to help with anything I needed. All I had to do was ask, and it happened. If I didn't ask, Brian told me to ask, and he told me how to ask, and he told me what to ask. Any material I was interested in, anything I needed at all for myself, my team, my family, it was offered to me. It was amazing.
What was the one thing that stood out and that you feel benefited you the most from this process?
Brian's ability to see. He was able to see what was going on with me, and he helped me see it too. He found a way to see past what I was saying and see what I was meaning. I once asked him how he did that, and he said, I don't know, I just do. And I'm so glad he does. If I look back on my notes from when we started to now, I can't believe the same person wrote them. And that's what stood out to me.
Would you recommend Brian Dodge and Dodge Development to your friends and or business associates?
Absolutely. This is not just a job to Brian and his team. It's so much more than that. I can call or text Brian anytime and get a response, not just during our scheduled time. They're truly a dedicated group of people. So much appreciated.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about your experience?
From the beginning, I knew that a lot of people would be responding to that newsletter. And for some reason, Brian picked me. I guess since I was ready to make the changes in my life that I needed to make. I've tried to explain the transformation in myself here with you, to my family, to my friends, and I'm not sure I conveyed it thoroughly or completely. My time with Brian has been invaluable, beyond invaluable. It has been defining. I begin a new chapter now, one of peace, of fascination, of purpose. And I thank Brian and everyone at Dodge Development for making 2020 a much better year than it could have been. Thank you.